Welcome to TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast.
Sponsored by CGC Cards, card grading all in one place. CGC Cards is devoted to expert grading of collectible cards, including TCGs, sports cards, and non-sports cards.
And by sportscollectorsdaily.com. If it happens in the hobby, you'll find it on sportscollectorsdaily.com. And sponsored by GemRate.com. The latest grading statistic from the 4 major grading companies is just a click away. Visit GemRate.com. It's free.
And now, here's our host, Drew Pelto.
Well, hello everybody, coming to you once again here with TTM Cast, your sports collectibles podcast. It's a place where we talk about TTM, cards, autographs, collecting, anything that comes to mind about anything really, but especially all those items right there. This is Season 6, Episode 25. It's July 20th, and you're listening to a nationally ranked sports collectibles podcast. I am Drew Pelto, your host of this program, and I'm joined once again by Troy Rudder up in Iowa. Troy, good to have you there in the co-host seat here once again.
Hey, good to be here. I think it's a record for me.
Yeah, it's a good long streak there. And I mean, of course, unfortunately, going to be without you for the next 2 weeks, but hey, the streak's got to end somewhere, but you got a good long one here this time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, sports news going on. Of course, the All-Star games this past week, the American League 5-3 winners, I believe was the final on that one, if I remember correctly there. But Jarren Duran, MVP of that one, and bit of a shocker, Teoscar Hernandez, of all people, ends up winning the home run derby. I don't think anybody had that one on their bingo card at all.
No, I don't think so. And, during the game, we did have a home run there, but it wasn't that one, I don't think so.
Yeah, so a little bit of a surprise there on really both those. I mean, I definitely did not see Duran being the MVP of that one either. Of all the big names in there, it's a guy who's, just kind of up and coming, and then end up with, Teoscar Hernandez beating out a very strong field in the Derby there, but still fun to watch this year as it typically is in there. So good to have all that going on. And in Wimbledon, Barbara Krejcikova, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the number 31 seed and possibly the biggest upset, I think they're saying like 50 years or so in winning the entire thing. That, I mean, nobody expects a 31 seed to go very far at all, and she ends up winning the whole thing. So I'm not a big tennis person at all, but I'm always a fan of an upset story like that for sure.
Hey, going back to the All-Star game, I both like and don't like when they actually go out and they are interviewing. In this case, I think they did Aaron Judge and someone else as the game is going on. Like, on one hand, it's cool, but the other hand, I'm like, oh man, I would, as much as I'm getting paid to play baseball, I don't know if I'd want people talking to me when a good hitter's up,
I mean, I'd lose concentration out in the field or something like that. And, I'd actually drop an oh shit on the air or something like that when a ball goes over my head. And well, then the FCC is on me after that. But they kind of caught Trey Turner at a tough time too, because I think he made that, diving play in the field while he was on the microphone there. It's like, all right. I mean, kind of cool to get the that closer perspective of it. But at the same time, it's like, man, how do you keep your concentration on that? That's pretty good right there.
Yes, I guess that's why they get paid the big bucks, right?
Exactly. And that's why we're here, just relying on a podcast, basically.
But no, it was a good game. It was good to see. Well, for some people, I guess it was good to see. Shohei get the homer there. But
I'll get to a recap of the All-Star Village here in a bit. But wanted to mention, I was down there on Saturday through Tuesday, so all 4 days that they had it, I was out there running around autograph lines, checking out whatever I could in and around that as well. But it's 100 degrees outside. A lot of it was outdoors. So that can make it kind of tough, but I did check that out. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. And I did at least have a couple of pickups for the collection here. Got a Corey Snyder Leaf Lumber card here. It's an autographed and bat piece one. And I'll show you this one here, Troy, if you can see that one. Right there.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, it's got a bat piece, sticker autograph on it, and it's numbered 14 out of 35. So there's, I think, like 8 parallel versions of it as well that are all numbered either from out of 15 all the way down to a 1 of 1. So don't know if I'll ever be able to get any of those ones at all, but I'll keep an eye out for them at least. So some fun stuff there. And picked up a box of Series 2 baseball and pulled a super short print of Andrew Haney, who is a Rangers. I've been trying to sell that one, or at least try to see if I can trade it maybe for one of the All-Star sets that they were selling there. I tried to go and buy one of those, and they were all out for the day. So I missed out on that, but hopefully I can trade for it at some point or pick up one on eBay or something at some point and go from there. But yeah, a few collection editions. Troy, how's your week been going? Any fun pickups, any mail outs, anything like that?
Well, before I get to that, did you end up picking up the full retail set that you were going to pick up as well?
No, that's what I wanted to get. They had the retail sets there, and they only sold a certain number per day because each one came with a different. There's like a special commemorative patch card that they did, and they only had like 5 on day 1, 5 on day 2, 5 day 3, and 5 on day 4. And once they sold out of them all for the day, that's it. They were going into the next ones, and all. It's like, and I was hoping to pick up the whole set there, and I didn't feel like going down there again in 105-degree weather there on Tuesday to try to get it again. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy my box here on Monday to get what I can for it. And like I said, if I can trade that Haney for at least a discount on one of those or something, I'll gladly do that. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Yeah, I didn't get that. That's the one that you didn't get. So
yeah.
But yeah, for me, I've just been working on that Topps 2023 project. I'm at 492 sends with 540 cards sent currently. So I think I'm going to wait until the trade deadline to send any more just to see if anybody shakes out. I might do some retired home addresses and maybe some minor league type things, but I think I'll wait for another couple of weeks before I send more out. And it's been relatively slow getting anything back, even returns or RTSs or anything. I think Rangers lead in preprints with 2 so far, and the Rockies lead with donation requests, which isn't terribly exciting. So that's what's going on with me. I've, other than the All-Star game, I've pretty much just been working on getting these out and researched and all that fun stuff.
Not exactly exciting or surprising from the Rockies. I know they've had that charity program for a bit there, but I'm kind of wondering, and I mentioned this when we were talking on Twitter there a bit, I bet a lot of these guys are going to hold on to their mail until the offseason. You might see a big, hopefully you'll see like a big swath of returns there, maybe in November, December, somewhere around there at some points.
Well, I'm hoping, I'm at least trying to get the Iglesias. I mean, he's kind of the sure thing out of everybody, isn't he? In all of Major League Baseball. So hopefully he comes through.
That's what I'm hoping. I mean, I every year I seem to see several out of him. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll be able to at least land him here at some point. Yeah,
I guess the Rangers doing preprints, everybody kind of knows that, but I'm just kind of testing the waters to see if it's 100% true. So
that was a little bit of a surprise to me because I'd seen a few Rangers over the last few years that have been good responding by mail, and the aforementioned Andrew Haney actually was signing a few early this year, so hopefully he's going to continue with that, and you can get him, I can get him, but not too surprised there either, though, because, I mean, once you win a World Series, you're going to get flooded by mail, I would bet, and so there's probably a lot of guys who are just like, oh, just stuff the envelope there, so yeah, we'll see, though. I mean, hopefully, though, you get a few coming in here, and then hopefully a lot in the offseason there as well. So, as I was mentioning, the All-Star Village, just going to give a very quick recap on everything up there. Honestly, I have to say it was surprisingly well run, a lot better than I was expecting, because anything the Rangers tend to get their hands on, they tend to screw up badly. And I know it's run ultimately by Major League Baseball on All-Star stuff, but you got to know they've got their hands in the pie in some way there on it. But aside from one hiccup early on, I thought the autograph lines were very well run. The way they did it this year was they had in the MLB Ballpark app, you had to sign up and register, and if you could get in for as soon as like 9 o'clock hit, they opened up to have reservations for each of the day's events that required reservations, autograph lines being one of the main ones. And basically you're sitting there, just jamming this app over and over again, hitting the buttons, trying to make sure you get in on one. And some guys went really quickly. I mean, like Josh Hamilton was gone within seconds, I'm pretty sure. Vlad Guerrero was gone within seconds as well. But once they got through those reserved spots in the lines, they had a standby line. So there's somebody you really want, you could wait in that and hope you get them. And I got through most of those guys. The only problem they had early on was I couldn't even get registered for the app to start with. And so I went to the customer service counter and vociferously complained that, look, I can't get in at all on this. And there's really one guy I care about getting. That's Fred Lynn. And so they called down and said, okay, since you're having like extreme problems with this app, we're going to give special dispensation to get you through the line there on Fred Lynn quickly. At least I was like, all right, good. I got that going. So I got Fred Lynn, and there was a little miscommunication in that line, though, because it was at the Capital One stage. It had 3 different stages, each one with a different sponsor. And at the Capital One stage, if you were a Capital One card holder and you had a reserved spot on that, you'd go ahead of even the rest of the reserve people, end up like at the very front of the line. Well, somebody didn't tell them that it was only for reserved people, and they started letting anybody with a Capital One card go through there. And so they wouldn't let me go through since I had to get the special dispensation for it, even though I had the Capital One card. Like, no, you still need to be in that one. So whatever. And it just kept on going and going and going with people going through this line. And finally, they've got through all that and let us through as just the regular reserve people. And they're like, oh, no, that's supposed to be reserved with Capital One only for that line. So they finally got it figured out after that one. But I know a lot of people that missed out on Fred Lynn who were not particularly happy about that. But once I get through that hiccup, though, it was great the rest of the time. I never really even had to use the Capital One Express Pass thing there at all, but I did get, registered for a few of them. And I only missed out on a few signers across the entire thing. I mean, I missed out on Josh Hamilton because his line was absolutely ridiculous. Like, by the time that they finished up one line, they were filling his up and it was already completely full on it. I'm like, I'm not waiting in a standby on that one. So I missed him. I missed like Danny Darwin and Jose Guzman, but they signed by mail and I have a ton of them already, so I didn't really need them badly. I missed Ruben Sierra just because my feet were tired. I'm like, look, I'm not going to wait around in line when he's going to probably sign one item per person. Colby Lewis showed up late and had to leave early, so I missed out on him. And I didn't have anything left for Tom Grieve or Mike Baksick. But, I mean, aside from that, I mean, I was able to go through Fergie Jenkins' line. What was it? He had 3 different signing times, and I was able to get through his line 4 times in 3 sessions. So I'm super happy with that. I got through Ferguson Jenkins' line a couple times. Or wait, I meant Raleigh Fingers. I got through 4 times on 3 lines. Ferguson Jenkins, I got through twice. Rafael Palmeiro did 2 signs. I got through each of those once. I actually got Odeby McDowell to sign an Indians card, which he hates signing Indian stuff. But I had heard that if you hand him only the Indians card and say, look, it's the only card I've got, and he's going to be mad about it, but he'll sign it. So I got some help from a friend who said, look, I'll be willing to take the punch in the face if you want to give the card to me and I'll get it signed for you. I'm like, please go right ahead. So fortunately, Mike was able to get that one done for me there. So there are a lot of legends who didn't do any signings at all, like Dave Winfield, Tim Raines, Adrian Beltre were all on the legends list, but they were just doing appearances. They didn't do any signing at all. It's like, some photo op stuff, working with the kids on the youth field, things like that. So didn't get those guys, unfortunately, but yeah, they were around at least. Funny story, Arron Littleton, who sometimes sits in the co-host seat there on the weeks when you're out, nearly killed Rob Manfred with his car.
Oh,
and so we got Arron on to talk a bit about that. So we'll get it. I had a couple people say, okay, I've got to hear the story on this. So we got him on to talk about that. We'll give him that explanation right in here. Arron Littleton talking about some incidents there with Rob Manfred. All right. Well, here on TTM Cast, we do not endorse vehicular homicide or even vehicular manslaughter for that matter. But I think Arron Littleton here might plead down to a charge of criminal mischief or something like that. But so I posted on Facebook during one of the days of the All-Star Game Village here about something, and I've had at least 2 people that are listeners to the show and friends of mine who have said, okay, we need to know more about this. But Arron Littleton, how did you almost kill Rob Manfred?
Well, I assure you it was just an accident. And I'm not even at fault for it. I was driving in my lane, so we're getting, and I would like to plead the 5th on all else. But so we were leaving the All-Star Village, and as you know, Drew, it required a little bit of a coordinated effort to kind of pick everybody up and everything.
Yes.
There's so many people out there, and so I'm going around the ballpark to pick up Drew. And we turn there on is it, oh my goodness, I'm not down there. Is it Randall Mill?
Yes,
is
Randall
that the
Mill.
road?
Yep.
Yeah, Randall Mill. And we're going through the light next to the first base gate of what used to be the ballpark in Arlington. And just as we go underneath the light, there's a man that I can kind of see. There's so much traffic, and so I'm not really paying attention to what's going on the sides of the street. Mm-hmm. But as I get closer, as I go through that light, there's a man that kind of awkwardly, like kind of stumbles, like turns around and kind of stumbles and almost like falls into my lane. And as I'm going by, I was like, that was Rob Manfred. And so, yeah, I nearly accidentally killed the commissioner of baseball.
Well, there you go. So if it had happened, you have an excuse. Yeah, I mean, you've got, it wasn't, yeah, it wouldn't have been your fault, I'm sure. I mean, but yikes. I mean, that's one phrase you don't expect to hear ever is, so yeah, I nearly ran over the baseball commissioner. I mean, that's, you never really think that's going to happen to you. And then suddenly, oh my God, there it is. So, wow. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, it was just kind of it all happened so fast. And like I said, there's so much traffic. And so I'm trying not to hit any of them, of the people actually in the road. And then, hey, here's this guy who nearly, falls into my lane. And yeah, it just happens to be the commissioner of Major League Baseball. And yeah, so I'm happy it didn't happen. I can only imagine how that would have complicated my life and trying to get autographs throughout the weekend. But other than that, it was a great experience down there.
Who's Manfred's number 2 in charge? I mean, I don't even know like what the depth chart is on all this at all anymore.
You know what? No, I don't even know either. But I don't. Is there a depth chart for such a thing?
I mean, there's got to be, because I mean, you think back to like when Bart Giamatti had the heart attack and died in office. It went to Faye Vincent right after that, and I don't know what Vincent's title was before that. I don't remember if he was, American League or National League president or something like that and got elevated up or whatever. But you have to kind of wonder, though. I mean, as I know, as many complaints as fans have about Rob Manfred, we could have gotten somebody even worse possibly behind him. We really don't know how what the chain of command is here.
And now that you mentioned that, yes, I'm happy I didn't hit him. I guess at least we only have zombie runners in see-through baseball pants at this point. It could have been much worse than that.
Well, there you go. So there's the story for everybody who is asking. Fortunately, there are no attempted vehicular manslaughter charges or anything like that coming Aaron's way. But it's funny, too, because, I mean, you just asked me, do I turn here? Do I go straight? I'm like, let's just go straight here. I mean, get away from the traffic. And what do? We nearly killed the commissioner with it. So fortunately, though, we all have ended up safe. The commissioner is safe. And it's at least a fun story there for the next few years there whenever. For any time, I mean, anytime that Rob Manfred is still in the job there, that'll make for an interesting, hey, here's about this time. So, wow. So there we go. We've got, so the commissioner nearly ends up dying. I don't know who the number 2 guy in charge would be behind him, but fortunately, Rob Manfred is still alive and he is still with us and, did not get run over by Aaron's car. But kind of a fun story there, at least once nobody ended up getting any injuries from it there. But last one, a big thumbs down to the Capital One Lounge and their security. So they had this Capital One Lounge set up for card holders. They could go in, have a chance to have a bite to eat, cool off. And out of nowhere, I just happened to be looking at the app one day, and they had opened up these 5 meet and greet sessions. They had Ruben Sierra, Mark Teixeira, Ivan Rodriguez, Michael Young, and Pedro Martinez. That was the big one I wanted to get. There was Pedro. And so I signed up. I was able to get passes for all 5 of these. And I'm just like, thinking, oh man, this is great. I had a Teixeira card I needed to get done, and I'd be able to get done there. And then I find out, oh wait, no, it's photo op only. And I'm like, all right. Well, I don't want to dash all the way across over here because I mean, this was having to run from one end of the place to the other out in the heat. So like, I'm going to make sure I go for Pedro though, especially once Teixeira did his, and a friend of mine said, yeah, Teixeira stuck around and signed for like everybody that wanted him. So he signed for everyone. Pudge signed for about 5 or 10 people or so. So like, all right, I'm going to have a chance at Pedro. So we go through our photo op line, and he was willing to sign for the kids, which is great at least. And someone in front of me said, yeah, hey, I've got this ball. Would you mind signing after? He's like, yeah, I can find you afterward. And so a lot of us waited off to the side, hoping that he would sign. And he gets done with the photo op 15 minutes early. Plenty of time. He could have signed for everybody that was in there with no problem there in those final 15 minutes. So I happened to be waiting right next to the woman that was hoping to get him. And he comes over, takes her ball, and like security's like pushing him back, like, no, you can't be over here. Like he's wanting to sign for people. And security saying, no, we're not going to let you. So he signs her ball, hands it back to her. And security like forms this phalanx around him, escorting him to the elevator. It's like, this is completely insane. He's wanting to come over and sign for us, and you're forcing him out the door, essentially. The only ones who got him are the ones who managed to figure out how to push their way through security or pass stuff over and through and around them and stuff. It's like you're just rewarding bad behavior at this point by, not just letting him sign when he wants to sign, apparently. But Yeah, not good at all. I know one of the major scumbag dealers in the area here was one of the ones to get him. So I was like, yeah, that just makes it even worse, unfortunately. But so overall, very good. Not a big fan of that Capital One Lounge stuff there at the end. But I mean, I got a photo with Pedro, so I'll take that. But want to send a shout out as well to a few friends that I met there and got to hang out with for the weekend there. So Brian Murray and Tim Owen, who are big listeners of the podcast, got to see and chat with both of them for a while. I actually watched part of the the Futures game there with Brian for a bit. Mike Miller, Matt Holly, Sean Sanchez, Jesse Carrillo all helped me out getting some stuff signed. Patrick Gray, just chatting with him for quite a while. Joe Light and I actually made a trade we'd agreed to on Facebook, and we kept on saying we were going to meet up at a game in Frisco, and he says, hey, yeah, I'm just going to be down at the All-Stars. I'm like, great, bring that card with you. I'll bring mine, and we happened to find each other in one of the autograph lines and got our trade done there at least, so that was always good. Local guys like Wes Chang, Greg Gutman, or Brian Gutman. Wow, how did I put Greg in there? Brian Gutman. Wow. Dave Slipka, Jason Hicks, Philip Grace, and a couple guys who've been on the show before, and Josh Durham and Andrew Lowe. Got to hang out with all of them this weekend. So always great to, get a chance to do anything like that. So overall, All-Star Game All-Star Game Village, I'd call it a success. And if they ever have it in down in Houston, a couple hours drive away, I'd go to it again down there for sure.
Wow, that was a big update. I think after that, you want to say, Drew, you just went to the All-Star Game Village. What are you going to do next? I think you deserve
to go
to
Disney World.
Yeah, exactly. That is amazing. I need a couple naps after all that. Maybe you had a couple days off. So
I did take Wednesday off from work as well just to recover there. And I mean, I wanted to do the red carpet too on Tuesday there, but it's 103 degrees out. I've been on my feet for several hours on this thing. There's no place to sit down. There's no place in the shade. No, not going to do that. But if it's ever in a cooler climate and I'm around for it, I would definitely do the red carpet and try to see who I can get to sign out there for sure.
Nice. I always kind of wanted to do if I was ever at a sighting with Fred Lynn, to actually take a green index card and just say, oh, it's all I got. I mean, it might upset. I don't know if he'd laugh or be upset by it, but you'd only want to try that once, maybe,
Right. From what I could tell, I think, honestly, from what I've heard, I think it's his wife that's doing that more than him. Because a friend of mine wasn't able to get through Lynn's line at all, and he tried to find him after as he was coming off stage, and his wife basically said, he's not signing that for you. And it's like, dude, what is this? Come on, But from what I can tell, I think it's his wife that's the one who's like kind of controlling his mail and prices and things like that. So that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, I mean, more power to him if he could get good prices at shows for cards. Why not?
Absolutely. I mean,
all of us set collectors are kind of breathe a sigh, or like,
Well, I mean, I think usually private signings he's doing like 25 or 40 an item, somewhere around that range. But if you try him TTM, if you write a really good, solid letter, he might sign your card. I've been lucky on him twice so far like that. Just write a very good, strong letter and he'll do it. So very, as personal as you can, specific moments in his career that you remember, anything like that then he might do it more. So.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get my 91 Don Russ from actually at the Nationals from Signatures for Soldiers. So
nice. Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's one we're going to be talking about here in just a moment, because we've got a lot of stuff about the National to cover. Of course, we're 4 days away from its start. I believe it's Wednesday this week that we're starting that up. So we're actually going to have more from Les here this week as our spot for this week's show. We're going to be talking about his thoughts on this year's National and what to watch out for, some different stuff they're doing with it there, and just what he knows about it from his own past experiences. So stick around here for more from Les. Well, I'm still trying to catch my breath here from the long update there, Troy. So do you mind giving us the rundown of what we got all going on here of all of our usual segments here on the show?
Absolutely. So coming up, like Drew said, we will have more from Les. We'll also have Baker's Dozen and Making the Grade. Then Drew and I have our highly anticipated segments, our stamp of approvals. And it was a very busy week this past week for the Vern Rapp Minute. That's why we'll tell you everybody who has passed away this past week. And then the very exciting segment of TTM returns.
Absolutely. So make sure you stick around for all of that. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to email them over to us. Troy, what is our email address up here?
That would be ttmcast@yahoo.com.
And if you want to find me directly, it's dfwgrapher@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at dfwgrapher as well. Troy, social media, where can they find you?
Pretty much everywhere TTM Autograph, except for Twitter, which I don't use very much unless I'm complaining about Taco Bell street tacos. It is just TRUTTER.
There you go. So just find us there, and easiest way to contact us is any of those methods right there. I think that about does it for a very long intro to this week's show, but coming up next, let's move on into Baker's Dozen.
Baker's Dozen, sponsored by SportsCollectorsDaily.com.
Smart collectors turn to Sports Collectors Daily to stay up to date. From new releases to incredible collections hitting the auction block, news from inside the business of sports collectibles, and much more, Sports Collectors Daily has it, all with no subscription cost. SC Daily also delivers a live look at the most watched sports card auctions on eBay for every sport. Sign up to get the headlines in your email for free, or just visit the website whenever you like. With 16,000 stories in the archive going back 16 years, there is always plenty to read at SportsCollectorsDaily.com.
Baker's Dozen is a news summary of all things going on in the collectibles world, and spoiler alert, it's going to be almost entirely dealing with the National this week. A lot going to be going on there in Cleveland, so we'll have a lot to talk about there. But before we get into that, we want to remind you to check out 5-Star Dynasty. It is a collectible card game created by Amir Kim El Malawani, 5stardynasty.com, or Instagram at 5-Star Dynasty Game. Give them a follow on there, pick up one of their sets, and if you buy one, make sure you send them a message on Instagram. Say, hey, I'm a TTM Cast listener. I bought a set, and they'll have a little bonus to throw in there when they ship those out. Also, I want to remind you, I have a weekly article on SportsCollectorsDaily.com. I did not do the one this past week due to the All-Star Game Village, so I'll have an extra long one this week talking about my exploits out in Frisco as the Northwest Arkansas Naturals came to town, and, of course, everything from the All-Star Village as well. We've got our winners now for the Pete Incaviglia giveaway. We had 13 entries into it, so very happy to see that was popular among our listeners. 3 winners picked in total, and the way I did this was I took the 13 names that were sent in and plugged them all in at random.org. I asked my wife, pick a number between 1 and 10. She said 9, so I randomized the list 9 times. And then told her to pick 3 numbers between 1 and 13, and they were 4, 7, and 8. So 4, 7, and 8 on on that list. Congratulations to Ryan Stonebreaker of Iowa, Aaron Doherty of Washington, and Kim Coy of Ohio. You all are our winners this week, so I'll get in contact with you. I've got 3 of them selected here, and so we'll try to figure out, which one you'd want most, and try to see if I can get your first choice to each of you on those. So big thanks to entering on that. We'll probably have some more contests coming up here soon, as I have a few doubles from the All-Star Game Village I wouldn't mind giving away. So we'll talk more about some drawings starting next week once we're on during and after the National.
Cool.
Yeah. We're going to flip the order here a little bit. Usually we go into all of the week's news, and then we talk about upcoming releases, and then any kind of show news of upcoming shows with signings. But we're going to get the new releases out of the way first, so we can spend a good big chunk of time here just talking about what's upcoming here at the Nationals. So 4 new releases here we want to cover. First up is the 2023-24 Upper Deck Allure Hockey Set. It's going to be coming out on July the 24th. In there, you'll see 8 cards per pack with 8 packs per box, 32 inserts and parallels and rookies in those boxes. So a lot of inserts going on in that one. Pre-sale price for Upper Deck Allure Hockey, $150.
And we also have 2023-24 Prism Copa America Soccer. Drew always gives me the soccer ones. That will have 12 cards per pack and 12 packs per box, and just 1 auto, 14 prisms, and 10 other inserts there in that box. And so the pre-sale price for the soccer is $350, and that is on July 26th.
I'll quite give you all the soccer ones. I got one here for myself here, so I split it up this time at least. But 2023-24 Topps Chrome UEFA Club Competition Soccer. That'll be coming out on the 24th of July. In there, you can have 4 cards per pack, 20 packs per box with 1 autograph per box. Pre-sale on that one from the Topps Chrome set, $300.
And we have 2024 Topps Chrome U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hopefuls also coming out on July 26th. That is 8 cards per pack and 12 packs per box. And in that box, there's 2 autos and 1 relic. And it's also available as a jumbo and blaster packs. And no info on that pre-sale price, but if you're looking for the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic hopefuls, that will be on July 26th.
A lot of stuff coming out, and not just in the big 4 sports there either. We had a couple of soccer and a Olympics set. Definitely excited to see that. You don't see Olympic cards done very much, so kind of cool to see the card companies are jumping on that right now.
Yeah, I kind of wish that back in the 80s we would have had the Battle of the Network Stars cards. Maybe there are, and I've just never seen them. Well,
there might be.
I might have to search eBay for that.
Yeah, I mean, they did all sorts of other card sets for TV shows and stuff. I mean, there's got to be something like that, I would think, or hope at least. So
that would be great.
Yeah. All right, so now the National. We've got we're 4 days away from that. I'm sure that's why a lot of people are tuning in here just to find out a little bit more about what's going to be going on there. Unfortunately, neither Troy nor I will be out there at all, so won't get to see us at all. We'll be kind of relying on all of you listeners to be our eyes and ears out there and let us know about any cool stuff that you come across. And but yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here this year. It's Wednesday through Sunday, IX Center, Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm kind of excited to see as they have a new management team in charge of it right now. The guys who handled the Philly and Chantilly shows for CSA are managing the National. I took it over back in the fall, and so this will be their first one running it. And from what I'm seeing, they've got some really great ideas. I mean, first off, pre-sale tickets, they said, have exceeded last year's one in Chicago, which is the most attended show ever. Over 100,000 people going through the doors there. So going to be a pretty good-sized crowd out there for sure each day. But they said the floor space is slightly smaller than Chicago, but they have it organized more efficiently. The shape of it is in this near perfect rectangle, whereas with the Chicago one, they kind of had to fit stuff into certain spots there. So it's a little smaller, but also a little bit more efficient. So it's the great thing about the IX Center. I mean, it's just this big freaking box is all it is. So they can fit everything in there very easily. They've changed the layout of it this year. The corporate areas have been moved to the back now instead of just being kind of dropped in the middle there. So I got to say, I kind of like that because they said they wanted, as soon as you walk in, you're just going to have tables upon tables of cards as far as the eye can see. And I kind of like that, not having it broken up by stuff like that that are in the middle. But this is going to be more food options this year with some food trucks coming in, more carpeted areas, better Wi-Fi, better air conditioning, and a pretty lengthy dealers list as well. As a 35-page PDF when I was looking it up there the other day. So basically, if there's a major dealer that you like, they're probably going to be there. So nsccshow.com, you can check out all that kind of stuff. But Troy, how many nationals have you been to? I know there was at least one a couple years ago in Chicago that you went to.
I believe I have been twice, both in
Nice.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always skip the off the off year. So
I'm just the opposite. Chicago is the one place I have not yet been to, but that's going to change for 2026. So we'll get that in there now. So, I mean, I've been to Cleveland a lot of times before. I mean, I think this is something like, maybe the 7th or 8th show that Cleveland has hosted there, the IX Center for the National. And I went to a single day in 97, the whole thing in 01, 04, had to miss 2 of them in between, and then went the entire time to 2014 and 2018. So been to several of them, missed out on a couple of them, but yeah, bounced around a lot with those. And of course, one Atlantic City one, which we're not going to talk about that. Atlantic City is just, not worth it. But Cleveland, though, I mean, the IX Center is always a great venue for it. And I love this idea of, bringing the food trucks and especially more carpeted areas, because, I mean, that cement floor just kills your feet. That's one of the things that Les will be talking about a little bit later on in there. But if you're go ahead.
The food trucks sound great because when I went to the Chicago one, the lines downstairs, well, first they were always out of pizza in the center, but I always, both times I got the hotel that's actually connected through this long unair conditioned hallway. And they had breakfast buffet there. And so I just went extra early and went to the buffet and ate way more than I should for breakfast and just kind of cruised all the way through the day because it was pretty miserable down there at those little stalls that are actually in the convention center there in Chicago. So
yeah, usually,
food trucks would be great.
Yeah. I mean, what Aaron and I always do was, Atlantic City, they didn't really have much in the way of food in there. And when they did, it was a super long line when it was right around lunchtime. So what we'd usually do both in Atlantic City and Cleveland was we'd run to a Walmart nearby, grab like a $5 sandwich from the Walmart deli, stick it in our bag, and then all we have to do is find a table and sit down and eat. And I mean, you don't have to worry about waiting in lines or anything. You can eat whenever you want to. And that worked out pretty well. But yeah, the food trucks, I think having more options in there definitely is going to help things out, especially, I mean, 100,000 people across all that. That's what, 20,000 people a day. Trying to battle them for food is very, very difficult.
Although we did go out to Giordano's Pizza at least one day there during the Nationals, which is a must.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Giordano's and Portillo's. You got to hit at least one of those two, and preferably both when you're in town.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who have the VIP package, you're going to have, I believe, 21 autographs total, 18 ticketed, 3 at the VIP party. Troy, give us a rundown. Who are some of these names we've got that are going to be coming in here for this for the show?
Yeah, and you'll have to let me know of some that I missed here. But we have from the NFL, we have Bob Lilly, Bob Golick, Randy Grossman, Dick Ambrose, JT Thomas, Hanford Dixon, Kendall Jones, and Mike. I'm going to butcher this one. I'm not a big NFL guy. Mike Tomaszak. Is that close?
Tom Zach. Pretty close. Yeah.
Sorry, people, send your hate mail to no. I'm not a big NFL guy, especially historical. So
right.
Major League Baseball, we have Milt Wilcox, Len Barker, Joe Charbonneau, Rico Petrocelli, Pat Tabler, your favorite, Corey Snyder, who I think I mentioned this once, but I got tired of the line, so I used all 5 of my tickets, won Nationals just for Corey Snyder.
Nice.
Dwight Gooden, Steve Sachs, and Benito Santiago.
Nice.
And from the NBA, Terry Cummings. So that is a pretty good VIP package pack right there.
Yeah, a lot of great names on there. Also, looks like Carlos Baerga, Gus Frerotte, and Tom Cousineau on the list there as well. So very, very packed list right there. I mean, that's what, I think 10 each in football and baseball, plus the one basketball one. So a lot of pretty solid names there. Guys you don't see at shows very often there. I know with like Cardale Jones, that's a pretty recent guy right there who's, playing the NFL just 5, 6, 7 years ago maybe, and college national champion there with Ohio State. So definitely cool to see all those out there. And like I said, I wish I could go out there because I've got some Dwight Goodens I need, but fortunately I did have Brian, one of the guys I met up with out at the village there, said, "Hey, yeah, if you need Gooden, let me know. He does a lot of shows up there in New York, and just send the cards and fees out to me, and I'll get them done." So I can at least do that if nobody else can help me out there. So always good to be able to do that.
You heard if they are any pop culture type signers that will obviously not at the VIP tables, but sometimes they have one or two of the Sandlot guys or Rookie of the Year or any. Have you heard of any pop culture or Christmas Story or whoever?
Yeah.
Have you heard of anybody out coming for that yet?
Chevy Chase and Randy Quaid, I know, are both on the list of the paid ticketed signers there. So if you got anything you need for out of those guys, I mean, of course, that's National Lampoon Vacation series there for Chevy Chase, and Randy Quaid actually I think was in the Christmas, was he in Christmas Vacation, was it? I think
I'm not sure.
So was that Cousin Eddie or whatever his name is there with the RV. But yeah, there's at least both those guys are going to be out there, and I think there may have been a couple others. Those are the two that stick out most in my head right there. So
yeah, I was like
at least a couple.
I always like how they bring out, not even sports. Most of the time they're sports related films that they're known for, but you get a random one every now and then stuck in a small space between two booths, and you're like, that's interesting. So
I would bet there might be a couple of Sandlot guys there, because it seems like every year Topps will surprise everyone, put those in. They haven't publicized anything with it, but they tend to do that a lot. I mean, 2 years ago, Darryl Strawberry was there, and he was just added on randomly. They're like, "Oh, hey, by the way, Darryl Strawberry's going to be here this day." So,
no big deal.
Yeah. So you never know. That's a good reason to keep an eye out on all the dealer booths and stuff there. So make sure to check those out. And
yeah, I'm really jealous for everybody going this year. So
yeah, absolutely. A lot of great stuff to keep an eye on as well with some of the various booths there and apps to check out. We, of course, have always mentioned the Collex app, COLLX. It's good to have on your phone for just being able to price stuff quickly. If you see it at a table and you want to see if you're getting a good deal, bring it up on Collex and check it out. And if it's a good one, snap it up while you got it. So make sure to download that and get the Ludex app as well, LUDEX. they are going to have an interactive map of the entire show floor in their app. So if you want a good way to be able to track where you're at and where certain things are and find out more, go and get Ludex and through their app and find out all about everything that's on there for the show. Swing by BCW's booth as well. They're going to have some free NSCC, National Sports Collectors Convention, top loaders. They've got some slab bumpers, thickness gauges, all that kind of stuff that they're actually just giving away. I think they get like 5 top loaders and a slab bumper whenever you stop by their table. And, of course, Troy, you mentioned in the stamp approval a couple of weeks or months ago, that card catalog that you absolutely love. They are going to have those there as well. So you can check those out firsthand for yourself and pick up a couple of those, too.
Yeah, I'm still using mine. I need to organize it a little better.
Yeah.
But definitely I also need to go to IKEA to get some cubes that those will fit nicely in. But go check them out. Pull them. Yeah. I mean, they'll have them there. I don't know if they'll be full of stuff or not, but pull them out, check them out. Mm-hmm. Make your own opinion.
Yeah. What else? MVPs. They're going to have the largest signed soccer autograph collection in the world on display out there. So definitely worth checking out if you're a soccer collector. Check out my cards, COMC. They're going to have some on-site group grading submissions. And if you're a member of them already, or if you go and sign up for an account on COMC, you can get yourself a free box to have with you there to put all your stuff in as you pick it up, because it's something you need to have with you at the shows. Have a box to keep anything in that you buy. So swing by them, get yourself a free one out there. Mojo Break has already started now with stuff. They're going to have up to $10,000 in break credits available in various contests that they're running. They're going to be doing it at the show, and they're actually starting it on their website right now. So they're definitely worth checking out. And one of my favorite booths there every year at the National, ever since I found out about it, is this one called Singles Club. They just have a bunch of random singles put into it. Started out as just dollar boxes. Everything they had there was $1 per card, and you can find some $10, $20 stuff for $1 there. Scoop up a lot there, but they're going to be set up again. They're going to have some incredible bargain boxes, some as low as, I think, 50 cents, dollar boxes, $5 boxes, and some very affordable slabs as well. And just following them on Twitter, they've got a whole bunch of stuff they've been showing off they're going to have there, and just showing off this whole box upon box upon box they're hauling down there with them. So make sure you find them and check them out as well. If you're into the kind of the highbrow stuff with a little bit of art on there, they're going to have some art stuff going on at the National as well with some original sports art.
Yeah, and a few of these artists are also participating in the charity auction there. But Murray Henderson, who does some pretty unique paintings with game used gear, is going to be there. James Florentino will also be participating in the charity auctions. Tim Carroll, one of my friends, Chris Brogan, actually interviewed him maybe a year or two ago. He's the one that makes artwork from cut up cards. I forget which year. I think it was 89. Don Russ is his favorite, or maybe 88. It just has the right colors and pigments that he likes to use. It's always fun. I actually got his business card here somewhere. Yeah. And infamous and still a good TTMer. He went through a little bit of a time where he was asking for donations, but he seems to sign no matter what. Dick Perez, who is known for doing all of those Diamond King, speaking of Don Russ, he will be there. So that is pretty cool. I always wanted to meet him. He helped with a few of the odd cards. So the Diamond Kings that I had signed for the 1991 Don Russ set, the last one that I had was the checklist. I'm like, What am I going to do for the checklist? I'm like, I know it. So I sent it to Perez, and he signed it and sent it back. And I think I also had him do the, I can't think of who was the puzzle piece when you put them all together on that one. But
Willie Stargell.
Willie Stargell. I sent him the card showing the completed puzzle as well, because I wasn't going to be able to get Willie Stargell. But Dick Perez. So all those artists will be there if you want to go check out their artwork, or I'm sure they'll have something for sale, maybe even some reproductions or something like that. Definitely check it out.
I can tell you at the very least with James Fiorentino, the big one they're putting up for the charity auctions is Cleveland Collage. It looks really cool. It's got the Cleveland skyline, a bunch of famous Cleveland athletes all in it. They are selling prints of that signed by Fiorentino as well. So if you can't afford the several $1,000s it'll probably take to land the original there, I think the prints are running in like the $200 to $300 range in there. So Still a little high, but not bad at all considering, I mean, this is just a really cool piece they put together for it.
And a nice frame for it, and it'll look great.
Absolutely. Of course, all the companies are running their various wrapper redemptions that happen out there as well. I know Topps every year will have the kind of gold or the silver packs. They are where you buy a box at a table, bring it over there. They'll unwrap it, and they'll give you a silver pack or two and get some cool stuff in there. But they're doing that. Panini, of course, does it every year with their silver and gold packs. Upper Deck, I think, usually has something with it. Even TriStar might. But I know Steel City, Dave and Adams, and Blowout are the official stores to pick up your boxes from to go and get those wrapper redemptions. So make sure you check them out if you want to buy a box and get some bonus stuff there from the various companies. Topps also has announced they're going to have an autograph redemption exchange. So if you had to send in to them for a redemption card at some point, I believe it has to be at least 100 days in advance. But if it still hasn't come in and you want to exchange it, they do have this exchange program they just announced. So go check out Topps on social media or Topps.com. I believe they have all the details on there about it, but kind of a cool idea there if you're sitting on a redemption and are getting tired of waiting for it. So got at least one choice that you can go with there. And of course, the famous Panini VIP party will be taking place once again. Details right now are still under wraps. They typically keep it pretty quiet until you get down to the couple days beforehand there. But if you're one of those big spenders that doesn't mind dropping 5 figures on cards at a show, typically a lot of breakers will get in on these. But if you do have Panini products through those dealers, you can get yourself admission to the VIP party, and they've got some really cool stuff they always have out there with the gold and silver packs, sometimes some of those one-of-one black boxes. Very celebrity meet and greets they'll have there. Great food and drink on hand as well, and typically a musical guest too. I know a couple years ago they had one of the members of Outkast was out there. The first year that I got to go to one to work with them was they had DJ Cool. Let Me Clear My Throat was he was the musical guest out there. Just did his full couple-hour DJ set. They're finishing off with doing "Let Me Clear My Throat" right at the end of there, his most famous song. So always some cool stuff going on there from the companies. Make sure you check out their booths. Like I said, you never know what kind of stuff might pop up there during the show. Auctions, of course, are always big. Troy, what do we got for some of our favorite auction houses? What do they got going on?
Yeah, you've heard these in all of our segments for the last few years. So if you want to stop by and see them in person, we have Pristine Auctions. They're doing hourly live auctions, so that might be fun. Golden, their sellers' fees are waived on consignments. So if you have something that you want to go and leave with them, you can do that. Heritage Auctions, here's a big one. The Babe Ruth called shot jersey. So they're going to be promoting that. And Memory Lane, which is kind of fun. You can get your photo taken with a T206 Wagner. So I think they had one in Chicago, if I remember right, when I was there.
Always a big piece whenever any of the auction houses or dealers have one. I remember the infamous Gretzky ones, graded a PSA 8, was at the 2001 National and super heavily secured there, but still, I mean, even just getting to see that was really cool. I mean, it's PSA card number 1, the first one they ever graded. So cool stuff right there with that. If you want to find stuff to do outside the show, not a whole lot right around the IX Center, but across the Cleveland area, it's a short drive to get downtown. You can even jump on the train at the airport and ride the Red Line on into downtown there, but you're very close there to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you got your kids with you, take them to the Great Lakes Science Center for a day. If you want to break from the show or do it right after it ends or right before it starts, go and check that out with them. If you're a baseball fan, unfortunately, the Guardians are going to be playing on the road. I think they have a home game on Wednesday night and Thursday afternoon, which kind of doesn't work well with being at the show there. Lake County Captains are playing on the road as well, but the Akron Rubber Ducks are going to be at home. They have the Bowie Bay Sox coming and playing against them. Evening games Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's only about a half hour at most drive from the IX Center, so check out some minor league baseball while you're there. Akron has an excellent extreme food menu there as well. I would highly recommend the Pineapple Terry Akron Bowl or the Nice to Meet You burger are both excellent options there. And, of course, you got to go to Melt while you're there. I mean, Melt, it's they call it Melt Bar and Grilled because they've got all sorts of different, you name it, and they're going to put on a grilled cheese sandwich, basically, along with a full bar and everything. Great place to eat. There's several branches around the Cleveland area. I would highly, highly recommend checking them out. And, of course, there's all sorts of other things that go on with the show after hours.
Yeah, and there are official trade nights. Sorry, I think whatever you had was catching there. So there's trade nights Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. These are the official trade nights at the IX Center after the main floor closes. Of course, everybody knows that in every hallway of every hotel, there will be trade nights probably as well. But there at the IX Center, there are different themes every night. Oftentimes there's giveaway from sponsors. And at the official trade nights, you have to have the admission bracelet or a VIP placard. So if you're in a hotel or something, sometimes they have people just kind of stop in and come in if they're not attending the show. But the official trade nights is open to attendees only.
It's a cool thing. I've never checked out any of those, but I know a couple people checked it out a couple of years ago that I was hanging out with at the 2022 show, and they said, man, those are getting really, really busy now, really crazy out there. And there's even people wondering, okay, how long is it going to be before somebody sets up a show that's not even doesn't even have tables, just a big trade night, and that's it. And I think we could be on the way to seeing something like that at some point.
Yeah, and for those, I haven't researched anything about this yet, but there's usually if anybody's interested, a YouTuber meetup of people in the card community. I don't know any details because I haven't been paying attention since I wasn't going, but you could go to YouTube and kind of search for Nationals or Nationals meetup, and someone probably did a video about their setting up a meetup. I know Filmington, who's a big YouTube creator, he usually has a meetup. Eloy the Goat Flores usually has a meetup. It's just kind of fun to go meet people either from YouTube or from the podcast or the card community in general. Just kind of a smaller group that you can just kind of say hey and get to know each other.
Yeah. Most years, or at least a couple previous years, we did TTM Cast 1. So 2 years from now, everybody, keep an eye out. We'll be at the National again. We'll try to do one when we're out there as well. Just some notable tables for those of you who are looking to buy any autographs. We mentioned earlier, Signatures for Soldiers. Tim Virgilio is going to be out there once again, so make sure you find him. He's always got some great stuff there that benefits a great cause. One of my favorites is Mainline Autographs. They usually have a big booth there every year with all sorts of binders and boxes and stuff. Very well organized, along with some, dollar boxes just to sit there and dig through for hours on end, which I have done several times over there. But you're always going to find something that you need out there. And yeah, I mean, when I was there in 2022 was absolutely no exception. I think I dropped a couple $100 on set needs there, and even I could have done even more if I felt like sticking around in those dollar boxes for a while, but didn't want to do too much digging. And of course, our guy Les Wolff is going to be out there as well, and we talked to him this week in More from Les to talk about what he's got going on for the Nationals, some stuff that he's picked up that he'll have out there, stuff that he's always looking for, and just his general thoughts on the whole thing. So let's go on into More from Les.
And now it's time for More from Les with hobby legend Les Wolff.
It's football season. There's no better time to get your NFL stars, rookies, and veteran cards graded. CGC Cards offers fast turnaround times so you get your cards back even faster. They have crystal clear holders so your cards shine. And best yet, all starting at just $12 a card. Head to cgccards.com to start grading your cards today.
All right, well, we're here with Les Wolff, our first ballot All-Star Game starter of the autograph hobby here, joining us for More from Les. So, Les, good to have you back on. I know we missed you last month there with battling an illness there, but hey, great to have you back on here once again.
Yeah, I had pneumonia. Thanks.
Oh, jeez.
Thanks. After having COVID. COVID was nothing compared to pneumonia.
Oh, God, I can imagine. I've never had pneumonia myself. My mom had it, and I remember seeing her deal with that. And it's like, ugh, gross. So
the cough is the worst part of it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, the good thing is you're past that, and we're into the most wonderful time of the year for collectors. We're a week away from the Nationals. So I know you're always a big presence out there. This is what, the 44th show this year, and have you been to every single one of them since it started?
No, I think I've only been to 30-something.
Okay. Oh, only 30-something. I'm sitting here with like 5, and so. But it's always, I know it's a big event for you. I know you've always got a heck of a booth set up on there. And I mean, you're always active on the show circuit anyway. Does the National how much more prep work goes into getting ready for the National? Or is it just kind of, you always have it ready, right? They're ready to go.
Well, the problem is I have to pay someone to truck everything down.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy doubled his price. And the problem with the National this year, I don't know if many people are going to know this, the dealers do though, is that Cleveland used to have their own, like, so, they would have showcases and booths and tables and everything. Since they sold it, it's the AEX, the New Jersey company, is trucking everything down. So every single thing, extras like tables, showcases, has more than tripled in price.
Oh, geez.
So this national is going to be the most expensive national I've ever done. So I tried to bring as much stuff as I could, and it's it's just going to eliminate Cleveland from the national show now. And I do a couple of shows here in Hofstra. I do a couple of boxing shows, the Boxing Hall of Fame. Other than that, I'm trying to wind down. I'm in my 70s now, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And tell you the truth, getting up and setting up and breaking down and then putting back everything in inventory, it's an ordeal. So people don't realize that.
I imagine it is. And I mean, that was one of the things that the Nationals always seemed to pride itself on, was like, hey, no increase in costs over the last time and all that. And so it definitely seems like a shock there to have that kind of a gigantic increase there. So it sounds like maybe down to just Chicago, it seems like, for the future there, since, I mean, nobody seems to want to do Atlantic City now after 2 years ago.
You know what? Atlantic City, I liked only because of convenience, but you can't really walk far away from the boardwalk or your hotel. I mean, unfortunately, that guy from the appraiser got mugged.
Right.
It's terrible. I mean, they don't, there's nothing really you could do about that. But they never really fixed up the surrounding town around Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm. How do you, if you're going out and checking out the National as a collector, how do you make sure that you don't miss anything, that, you make sure you catch everything you want to see there? Because it's just so massive. I mean, one of my friends says that his favorite thing to do with a first timer to the National is walk in about 10 steps ahead of them and turn back around, just see the look on their face when they see the sheer size of it. How do you go about seeing as much as you can, or even everything for it?
You got to hope that you'll see everything, because you're always going to miss something. I usually try to do it, after I set up, I try to take a nice long walk around, but it's going to take you 3-4 hours easily just to walk maybe half the show. It's a full day of walking. I mean, you probably do 30, 40,000 steps on your Fitbit. Be prepared. I think one of the most important things that a lot of people don't discuss is, to wear comfortable shoes.
Yes.
And bring a bottle of water, because this show is massive. And with, last year they had over 100,000 people. They're projecting at least the same amount. So, and also another tip is, if you bring in cash, you bring in your credit cards and everything, I would suggest don't keep everything in your back pocket, keep it in your front pocket.
Yes.
And maybe separate your cash from your checkbook or whatever. I mean, you don't have to tell me, but just be careful, because there's going to be a lot of pickpockets out there. And based upon what happened in Dallas, the big ripoff of dealers, I think that the security is going to be beefed up big time. So anybody out there that's planning on trying to steal stuff from dealers, be prepared to be going to jail pretty quickly, because they're going to heavily enforce it. And the police captain that was in Atlantic City, that's been the head of security, is really beefing up security with cameras all over the place. So, I mean, it's good for the dealers, but it also costs us as the dealers more money to do that. So in line with that, a lot of the dealer costs have gone up. So anytime you're walking around the show and you're saying, why is this guy so much money? Well, you're going to know why, because every single expense for this particular national has gone up.
What advice do you have for somebody who's attending the National for the first time? You mentioned, of course, wear comfortable shoes, have your water with you. How do you even begin to attack something like this? Do you have advice on what to do, like, day by day for it, or anything like that?
What I would try to do is, if you're going to look for, let's say, autograph dealers, go to the directory and print out all the autograph dealers' names and boots.
Mhm.
And if there's a particular dealer you want to get to first because you've bought stuff from him before or her before, and it's like you're coming in from 100 and it's the 2000 booth, I would say start on the opposite end, walk directly to 2000 and work your way towards the front.
Nice.
I mean, I always try to have a plan. And another thing that I'm not sure a lot of people do is write down what you see at what booth.
Yes.
And also remember that the biggest thing you want to do is if you see something you really want, let's say it's $100 or $200 more than what you want to spend, and you've never seen it before, I would suggest just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, I still look back at one thing that I should have bought was a Thurman Munson signed book. Another baseball dealer had it, and I figured about $1,000 more than what it should have been at the time. And I went back to buy it, and it was gone. And since then, 20 some odd years now, I've never seen another one.
Yeah, if there's anything you absolutely have to have that you see, pull the trigger on no matter what. But at the same time, if there's something that you see that you like and you don't necessarily have to have, sometimes you wait a couple of days, you might see somebody come down a price on it by Saturday or Sunday, and they'll be willing to unload it because they just don't want to have to carry it back with them. It's kind of rare for some of the higher items, but for like some of the bulkier stuff.
Like I collect the Topps Giant signed cards.
Yes.
Okay, I think I need a Tommy Harper to complete one set. I need like under like 4 or 5 to complete like 4 different sets. And I just saw one on eBay that I needed. Had my son pick it up. Who was it? It was a Darren Johnson. There was a Tommy Harper I need. Believe it or not, Tommy Harper, who's an easy autograph. If you ever see him, does not answer his mail. Yep. I have his cell phone number. Never returns a phone call. I need him. Now, if somebody has him at their table, I'm not gonna, unless he's trying to sell it for stupid money, I'm just gonna pay whatever it is and get it.
Yeah,
because I'm not looking to haggle there.
Yep. Other than your own booth, which I would recommend any listener definitely go stop by, check out, say hi to Les, and see what he's got in stock there. What other dealers are some of your favorites that you'd recommend to people that they check out at this year's show?
That's a good question because unfortunately, some of the dealers I've dealt with, the Mike Gutierrez's, the Doug Averett's, the Richard Simons, they've either passed away or they stopped doing the show, or Ron Gordon. Joe Esposito's always has some great stuff at his booth. Panini always has nice stuff at their booth. Fanatics, Topps. I mean, you got to get to the card company booths pretty quickly.
Yeah,
because those lines get massive, and you don't want to get caught behind one of those lines.
Mm-hmm. And definitely pay attention to like their schedules throughout the week, because you never know, they may have someone coming in. I know Topps in 2022, for example, Darryl Strawberry did an appearance at their booth, so you never know who might drop in. Check the schedule every day. Check it right at the start. You never know.
That's right. And like I cannot reiterate enough. If you see something you need to complete a set, or to complete something that you're doing, let's say all the Heisman Trophy winners, or the Baseball Hall of Famers, or Football Hall of Famers, and it's not exactly what you want. Let's say it's a Babe Ruth, you need to complete all the 500 home run hitters, and it's on a signed photo or a cut, and it's $1,000 or $2,000 more than you want to spend. I would tell you to get it, hold it, and wait a couple of years until you get something to improve upon.
Yes. Because
so many times you forget about buying it, and you go to buy it again like 5 years from now, and you see the prices have skyrocketed. So you don't want to miss out on, like having something on that particular guy that will complete or help you to finish that set.
You can't let perfection be the enemy of good enough sometimes in this hobby.
But the main thing is, don't, like I always offer clients, if you want, I offer payment plans. I've got a number of clients that do pay me off monthly, but this affords them the opportunity of not losing out on that item. And I just wish in the past, when there was items that I wanted, I didn't have the money. Other deals would have did that with me also. But unfortunately, not everybody is as easygoing as I am as far as that.
What are some of the cool things you've picked up here for this year's show that that you think will be popular among the stuff that you're gonna have out?
Actually, the last couple of days, I've gotten a couple of really good things. Friday, I'm picking up a retired detective had a tan wallet, and he got it signed by Ruth and Garrick in a fountain pen, and there's a big police stamp on there.
Oh wow!
And it's got Herb Pennock. And then when I got it from, when I'm going to pick it up from him, I took a look at it. I made him a really crazy offer, and he didn't take it from me. But I said, can we take it out and let me take a look at it? And I found there was another Ruth autograph on another part of the leather in there. So I increased the offer. And 3 months later, I'm going to hopefully pick that up on Friday. Then I had a woman from Facebook that was referred to me by a number of people in my neighborhood. And her husband had died. And her husband's father was the dry cleaner for the New York Giants baseball team.
Wow.
So she had a signed New York Giants baseball and a signed team sheet. So I made her an offer looking at the pictures, but then I did a little more research. There was one autograph on the team sheet. I couldn't read it. Neither could Jimmy Spence. And the baseball had some guy named Jimmy, looked like Lou, on the baseball, and couldn't find his name anywhere. And so because of that, I had to lower my original offer because yes, it is a team ball. Yes, it is a team sheet. But if you have someone on there that has nothing to do with the team, in my opinion, it lowers it a little bit.
Right.
But I have those, and 33 was the New York Giants championship year.
Oh, that's right.
So they're both two cool pieces. Plus, I got a nice Burley Grimes single sign ball, nice Ed Roush. So I've been picking up some good stuff. I mean, I made a crazy offer for a Babe Ruth on a sweet spot. I would say is probably a 7 or an 8. Side panel vintage mantle.
Jeez.
And I went nuts on it. It was actually a networking group guy that's the head of it. One of his clients had the ball. So I offered a substantial 5-figure offer for it. And I was shocked to hear they didn't want to sell it. So who knows, maybe when they need the money, they'll come back to me. I said, it's a cash offer. Tell me when you want to do. But I'll have a lot of great stuff. Plus, I picked up 1,000 signed baseball photos from a collection. And there was like 15 mantle autographs in there. And I had about half a dozen of them slabbed and graded by PSA. And they were 10s.
Oh, nice.
So I sold 2 of them on eBay so far. I think I have 4 or 5 left. Plus I have the 68 program with a PSA 9 autographing with Mickey Mantle number 7. So I have some really strong Mantle stuff. So it's probably and what I usually do, I don't know what most dealers do, is every few years I like to turn over my inventory of photos. So what I did was, in this guy's collection, I took out all the photos I had in my inventory of 8x10s in baseball and switched them out with the different photos, along with keeping some of the better ones that I still had and keeping it together. And I sold the rest of the photos to another dealer because I had a lot of money into that collection.
Yeah.
So, I think if anybody has been to my booth before and was there last year, make sure you come this year because I've got some of the nicest poses of photos that I've ever had.
Nice. Be a lot of fun to check out there. It sounds like some really cool stuff there.
I mean, I'm a big photo guy. I mean, looking back, I'd probably been better off if I just went with single sign baseballs. My inventory would have been a lot stronger and my collection would have been stronger. But I got to go with what I've always liked. I like the nice signed 8x10s. They're small. They go in a loose leaf, and you carry them around. They're not heavy. They're not bulky. And a lot of times if you get extra photos and the athlete never saw it before and you give it to them, you see the smile on their face and they'll sign an extra thing for you or something. You'll make a lifetime friend. And that's what I've always done with a lot of athletes.
Connections are everything in this hobby for sure.
Definitely.
With the Negro Leagues having some of their stats put into Major League Baseball officially, do you see any kind of an increase in interest in them, an increase in demand for them at this year's show?
I haven't had a Satchel Paige single in a long time.
Right.
I do have some Hall of Fame placards and 8x10 here and there, but I have noticed the prices, for example, on him have jumped up significantly.
Yes, I was at the Dallas Card Show a couple weeks ago, and 3 different times I heard people mention, "Hey, Satchel Paige, you got any Satchel Paige?" I'm like, "Wow, you don't hear it much," and then his name gets in the news like this, and suddenly the interest is rekindled.
But it's interesting. Paige is a big name, but people don't realize how great James Papa Bell was.
Yes,
and his autograph is very, very reasonably priced on photos and anything. Even baseball isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg.
This guy right here, too, Buck Leonard. I picked this one up off
cheap.
eBay for $25 only.
It's about what I sell him for.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the all-time greats right there. And I mean, just easy to pick up at a cheap price like that. So a guy that I've definitely recommend. Anytime somebody says, "Hey, who would you recommend of, somebody just as a kind of entry-level price range there on a Negro League guy?" Go with Buck Leonard. That's a guy, I mean, he's one of the greats of that time, and you can get him for a very good price.
Papa Bell, Judy Johnson,
yes,
Leon Day. They've been dead. They passed away a long time ago. And which is even more interesting is when they got in the Hall of Fame and I met them either in New York or Cooperstown, those guys were so appreciative of you going up to get their autograph and talking to them that they'd spend hours talking to you. Unlike a lot of the guys nowadays, like the Bryce Harpers of the world, who, don't care, that much about their fans.
Right.
These are guys that are genuine. And if you've never been to, I went there last year, the Negro League Hall of Fame in Kansas City is spectacular. And they have some great artifacts. I strongly suggest people try to take a ride to it and check it out.
Kansas City and Birmingham are the Mecca and Medina of Negro League baseball for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. You mentioned Jimmy Spence a bit ago. Do you know what we've got for any plans of his for the National? I know with everything working with CGC there, are they? Do you know what he's got for plans yet at all?
Well, they're going to be doing the grading and the encapsulation. I think I have to say, even though Jimmy doesn't sponsor our show here, I think Jimmy is just phenomenal collector, a phenomenal man, and a real true entrepreneur and a real godfather of the memorabilia.
Yes.
And I know that they're going to be having a booth. They're going to take submissions for cards. I just on a phone call and hoping that they'll take submission for photos to encapsulate also.
Nice. That'd be great if they do. So definitely keep an eye out there on CGC and JSA working together now. And I'm just excited to see what they're going to have coming up there together. Of course, CGC, a big sponsor here. So glad to see that Jimmy got involved with them out of anybody.
I was very surprised that he did it, but when you actually think about it, and I, for one, am guilty of being a nudge. Jimmy, when are you going to encapsulate? You got this big office here in Jersey. When are you going to encapsulate? It's coming. Okay, so's Christmas is coming every day.
Right.
I'm going to be I'm going to be 100 years old by the time you do it. So it was a good move on his part.
Yeah, I definitely like it. So, what booth number are you going to be at the National? Do you know off the top of your head which one?
1103.
Right up front, right by the food court then too, if I remember right from how it's usually set up every year.
Usually in the Cleveland area, hopefully they didn't change it that much. It's usually an end. And
yes,
everybody out there is going to laugh at this one, but remember this: I'm always set up pretty close to the men's room.
That is smart.
So, because as you get older, your prostate gets to you, so you have to go a little bit more often than most. And I always want to be close to the bathroom.
If you set up right between, the beer stand and the bathroom, you're going to have every guy in the place passing right by you there. So that's a great spot there.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and Cleveland is actually a pretty nice it was a nice convention center. I heard they got rid of that Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
So
they have moved that out. Yep.
so there'd be more area for people to walk around and check out.
Yeah. Let us know. So, Les, where can everybody find you online and give you a quick follow and website, all that kind of stuff?
Well, website is Les Wolff Sports, LLC.com, and it's Wolf with 2 F's and Les with 1 S. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. You can go to my website. Or what I like most is just give me a call. I still like to hear the old stories. You know, I've got one guy that's got a Willard Brown signed baseball. Funny story. I was collecting at a hotel in New York with a friend of mine, and I'm in the bathroom talking to my friend, and we're just talking about, you know, who we're waiting for. This guy starts talking to us, says, I've got all these Negro League autographs. I said, okay. Well, let me know if you ever want to sell it. Well, 5 years later, the guy calls me. We agree on a price, and now he's hemming and hawing what he wants to do. But it was just funny. You never know where or when you're going to meet someone,
Yes.
or what's going to come out of things.
Yeah. Talk to everybody and anybody when you get a chance to. I mean, you never know where it's going to lead to, for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And the stories are always the best. The woman I went to get the 33 giant ball and team sheet, just interesting hearing a husband, how he got it from his father, who was the dry cleaner, was friends with the players. I mean, those are kind of stories that are really priceless.
Yeah. I did the All-Star Game Village this past weekend. Toby Harrow was up there as one of the signers.
Great
and
guy.
There's a guy who can talk. I mean, you mention a name to him, and he will have a 5-minute story about whoever that guy is. I mean, I got him. He went on 5 minutes about working with Brennan Bosch, I think it was, from the Tigers when he was hitting coach there. Did another 5 minutes just talking about George Brunette when I dropped that name on him. And yeah, I mean, just sit there and listen. And it's just, I mean, it's free entertainment getting to hear the stories even.
How did you do with the All-Stars?
Not great. I mean, I went to the All-Star Village. I just bounced around the autograph lines there. So at least, add a few Hall of Famers. Got, Fergie Jenkins, Raleigh Fingers, Vlad Guerrero out there. But it was too hot for me to consider doing anything with like doing the red carpet or anything like that. And it's impossible to graph inside the games. But given just, bouncing around in lines there, you can't complain when you get 3 Hall of Famers out of something like that.
What about the hotel for the current All-Stars? Were you able to get
I didn't try that at all. I know a few people were able to get guys there, but it sounded like security was kind of tight around it. So I didn't really go messing around with that much. So,
I mean, that's too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, but unfortunately, 103-degree weather on the red carpet kind of meant that I'm not standing outside very long in that. So skip down to that. And of what I heard, most of the guys didn't want to sign there anyways. So it's unfortunate, but it's what collecting has come down to nowadays, unfortunately, it seems.
It's all about the money.
Exactly. Well, Les, before we let you go, any other thoughts before we head on out? And we'll find out more about we'll have the National, of course, just a week away.
Stop by my booth.
Yes.
If you have any questions or anything, feel free to come on over. If you want me to give an opinion on what I think something's worth or whether or not the autograph looks all right to me, just bring it by.
There you go.
There's no charge for that. And say hello.
Great. There you go. Les Wolff, booth 1103. If you're going to be at the National, thanks for joining us here on the on TTM Cast once again.
Thanks for having me.
So big thanks once again to Les Wolff for joining us here in the More from Les segment. Wow, God, we're already over an hour into the show here, so a lot of stuff with the National there to talk about. So fortunately, that's the end of Baker's Dozen. We've gotten through everything on there. Now let's take a look at Making the Grade.
Making the Grade is sponsored by CGC Cards. All card grading, all in one place. Certified Guarantee Company, CGC, devoted to the expert grading of collectible cards. Visit cgccards.com today.
Making the Grade is a summary of all things related to the grading portion of the hobby. And, well, I was off. I forgot I've got more national news coming up with grading. But before we get into that, Troy, what are some of the numbers here that we've got courtesy of gemrate.com?
Yeah, from July 8th to the 14th, PSA graded about 280.8K cards, which was up 11%. CGC, 41.2K, up 19%. SGC, 37.4K, which was up 25%. And a big mover this week, Beckett, graded 16.4K, which was up 108% over the previous week. That was the July 4th week, I believe, with a total of 375.8K cards graded through the Big Four.
It's a busy week right there, especially for Beckett. Wow, that's good to see out of them. Well, with the National, we're going to have all of the major companies have stuff going on out there, but PSA, of course, will have on-site grading. Expect them to be very busy. They are one of the few corporate sponsors that's right up near the front of everything there, so good, easy access to them there. So, but like I said, as soon as that door opens, people are going to be flocking straight to their booths, so expect them to be very busy all throughout everything. CGC has announced they're going to have some on-site grading as low as $18 on that. So definitely check into them if you want to get some stuff graded very quickly while you're out there. Of course, CGC is a big sponsor of our show, and they are working closely with JSA, Jimmy Spence Authentication, and they're doing some on-site authentication there as well. JSA and CGC just now started slabbing authenticated autographs together as well. I don't believe they'll be doing authentication slabbing there at the show, but they've at least got that going now, working together, and they've got those two things going on kind of separately there, but also together at the same time. And Beckett, kind of an interesting one they've got here. They're going to be doing some on-site grading as well. They're offering a 3-hour rush service. So if you pick up that, a raw T206 card or something, you want to go and get it slabbed real quick and have it ready to flip, they have a 3-hour service right there, $250 for it, but they're going to take that card, look it over, slab it, and have it right back to you within 3 hours. Actually, you have to have it done. You have to have it in before, I think it's before the show, at least 3 hours before the show is over. So make sure you get in early if you want that 3-hour service right there. But they're having several very fast services there in their among all their stuff there. So if you want speedy service, check out Beckett. But all of the grading companies are going to be out there and doing their thing on site. So always good to see there. Right now, let's take a look at this week's Big Three.
This week's Big Three is brought to you by GemRate.com. Whose cards are hot and whose cards are cold this week? Let's find out from our friends at GemRate.com.
The Big Three is brought to you by GemRate.com. These numbers are exclusive to TTM Cast. Gives you an idea of who some of the movers and shakers are in grading in cards from this previous week. So Ryan got me these numbers here. We've got Mason Wynn topping the list of risers. The Cardinals prospect is up 46% on his grading totals. Coming at number 2 on the list, we got a little soccer action going on here as Endrick of Brazil and Real Madrid is up 40% on his numbers. And out of the basketball world, it's Keontae George, a 17% increase in his grading numbers. He comes in 3rd this week. The big card to look out for, Anthony Edwards, 2020 Prism base rookie card, has been on an absolute tear since the playoffs. It was PSA's 3rd most graded card this week. They've graded 3,000 copies of that one at PSA since early May. So big basketball name to be on the lookout for right there. Troy, what do we got for the guys that are kind of going the opposite direction right now?
Yeah, falling a little bit this week, we have Lionel Messi, who is down 17%. Mark McGuire, sorry, Mark, down 18%. And Shota Imanaga, which was down 21%. So a little bit there. Messi, obviously my favorite, other than one other person, which is in another show. Holland. Those are the 2 soccer people I know, guys.
Yep,
Holland and Messi. So, so those are just falling just a little bit this week.
Yeah. Well, once again, a big thanks to GemRate.com for providing these numbers to us. Big Three is exclusive to TTM Cast, but if you follow them at GemRate on Instagram and Twitter, they have some excellent numbers all throughout the grading portion of the hobby. So they're definitely worth a follow. Go and check them out. Right now, let's move on. Let's take a look at the TTM Cast Stamp of Approval.
I bet you're wondering who earned this week's TTM Cast Stamp of Approval.
Stamp of Approval just gives us a moment to kind of show that we're not just a bunch of sports and collectibles geeks, even though it often ends up that way. I know a bunch of mine have ended up going through there as well, but sometimes food, sometimes TV, sometimes music. You never know what it's going to be. And for me this week, I'm giving my stamp of approval to another food one. This is Small Cakes Bakery down in Arlington. Now, I'm always a big fan of any kind of small independent places, especially ones that involve food. If it's a restaurant, bakery, anything like that, I try to support local anytime I can. And so Small Cakes is always a great one. They're down kind of South Arlington near one of the big malls there. And they've the great thing is anytime you go into a small place like that and you walk in the end of the day and they're almost completely out of stock, you know it's been a good day for them. And so many times I can go in, within like an hour or two of closing, it's like, well, they don't have a whole lot left. It's like, that is fine with me. I'll take whatever you got. And even then, it's still really great. They always have good stuff on hand there. So Small Cakes Bakery is my TTM Cast stamp approval. Went in last night, got myself one of their last ones they had in stock there with my wife. Got a couple picked up there, and they've been good as always.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to the hobby side this week, and that is one of my new favorite sites. I've used it before, but with the 2023 Topps project, it's becoming kind of a necessity, and that is the trading card database.
Oh, yes.
The reason why I like that, and I'm actually going to go back through some of my older cards as well, is sometimes you get like a group shot or a team card, and they're either facing the wrong way or you can't tell who's all on the card at that time. You could just go right there, and chances are they'll tell you, if it's a huge group shot of whatever, they'll have the top 5 people that are in there. And so just kind of go through, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can combine that with another send over here. And some of the older cards as well that are just random team cards that people might look a lot alike with glasses and a hat. You can't see their numbers or anything. It's just kind of been my new best friend. And thanks to Chase for telling me about it. I've used it before, but when I was like, hey, do you know who's on this Rangers card? He's like, oh, just go here and click, and there you go. So trading card database, TCDB.
Do you have a regular account on there at all, or just use it without signing in?
Just the free one.
Okay.
So,
it is free to join, I will say. So if you're on there, you can like add people as friends and check out like their want list and have lists and all kinds of stuff like that too if you do trading. So cool. I echo your sentiments on that. It's a great site, and the card that I am on is actually on there as well. If you look up Drew Pelto, you will find they don't have a scan of it, unfortunately, but it's listed in there as the card that I appear on. So.
Ooh.
It's always a great site there. I keep track of my Corey Snyder stuff on there, and I was dismayed to discover I'm now the number 2 Corey Snyder collector on there, so I got to boost that up here soon.
Oh.
So time to go and find some of those oddball ones that I'm missing here soon, and see if I can get that all together. But yeah,
maybe I'll have to go through, and there's a Des Moines player that played for the Nationals and the Rays, Jeremy Hellickson.
Oh, yeah.
I started collecting. I have about 20 of his numbered out of 99s. So I have 20 of them.
Nice.
And, I want to get as much as I can, but
maybe
I'll go and put those in there, see where I add up.
There you go. Definitely check into that. So great one right there. Yeah, if you're not on TCDB, change that right now. Go and get on there, use it, sign up for it, whatever you want to do. It is one of the best resources in the collectibles community. So a great TTM Cast stamp approval there, Troy, and with that, let's go ahead and move on now. Take a look at the Vern Rapp Minute. The Vern Rapp Minute is dedicated to the memory of Mr. Vern Rapp, former Major League ball player and manager. Our show founder, Jeff Baker, mailed it off to him not knowing that he had already passed away. And so we provide this as a service to collectors out there to let you know, hey, who's passed away, so you don't make the same mistakes that we have made all at times. First one on the list here, unfortunately, this is a very long list this week. We've had a couple of short ones here lately and had a lot in the celebrity world, especially this past week. But Jerry Walker died earlier this week. He was a pitcher from 1957 to 64 with the Baltimore Orioles, the Kansas City A's, and finished up with the Cleveland Indians. You may know him as being the youngest pitcher in All-Star game history. He played the 1959 game at the age of 20. Jerry was an excellent TTMer. He was 85 years old.
And we have Nelson Chittum, who was a pitcher from 1958 to 1964 for St. Louis and Boston. And in 1959 for Boston, he went 3-0 with a 1.19 ERA. That is pretty good. And he was an excellent TTMer. Nelson was 91 years old.
Moving into the world of football, we lost Jacoby Jones this week. Jacoby was a wide receiver for several teams, 2017 to 2015, also a kick return specialist. Played with Houston, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and San Diego at points in his career. His biggest season was 2012 when he not only won a Super Bowl, but he was also a first-team All-Pro and played in the Pro Bowl. He had 2 kickoff return touchdowns and a punt return touchdown during the regular season that year. Jacoby was not known to be a TTMer at all. He was 40 years old.
And we have Monty Kiffin. He's a longtime NFL assistant coach, and he coached for over 8 NFL teams and several colleges. And his son Lane is actually the head coach at Ole Miss. And he was not really a TTMer, according to what we had found. Monty Kiffin was 84 years old.
Moving into the world of basketball, we lost Pat Williams this week. Williams was an executive. He was the co-founder and vice president for a long time for the Orlando Magic. He got into basketball in the front office after spending a bit of time as a minor league baseball player for a number of years. He was the GM, along with being the VP and co-founder of the Magic, and also was the general manager for the Philadelphia 76ers at one point as well. Pat was known to be a very good TTMer. He was 84 years old.
And we have Joe Jellybean Bryant, who was a forward from 1975 to 1984 for Philadelphia, the Clippers, the Rockets, and then he went and played in a few other leagues during his career there. He was also a WNBA coach for the Sparks for 3 seasons. And of course, he is also Kobe's father. Now, Joe Bryant was not a real TTMer, and Joe was 69 years old.
You know, it's actually because of his time that he spent over in Europe after his NBA career there. That's why Kobe was so big on working with Panini for so long. He was, of course, kind of the most famous spokesman for Panini there, and it's because he knew about what kind of stuff they did over in Europe with all the stickers for so long that when they got into cards over in the U.S., he's like, yeah, I will definitely get in on that. So it kind of helped everybody out there with Kobe and Panini itself when they were first getting into cards. We also lost Lou Dobbs this week. Lou Dobbs was a commentator turned conspiracy theorist out there with mostly with CNN and Fox Business. And actually, he was still doing TV stuff up until last couple of years or so. Dobbs was actually an occasional TTMer through about 2012. You see a few successes roll in from him. He was 78 years old.
And we also lost Bob Newhart, who was a stand-up comedian for many years. Everybody knows he was kind of deadpan. One of his famous sketches, the Stop It sketch, is one of my favorite, and I still send that to people sometimes. You, of course, know him also from the Bob Newhart Show. Newhart, Bob was also on The Big Bang Theory. If you're a fan of the movie Elf, you know him from there as well. Just a kind of a Hollywood legend. And that Stop It sketch, if you've never seen it, go YouTube Stop It. It's pretty funny. And he was an occasional TTMer. I remember seeing some returns from him over the years. Bob Newhart was 94 years old.
We also lost Shannon Doherty this week. Shannon was known most for TV work in the mid-90s on Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed. Also appeared in a few movies over the years, Mallrats probably being the best-known one that she was in. Kind of known to be the Hollywood bad girl for a lot of her acting career, at least early on in it. Shannon was not known to be a TTMer at all. She was 53 years old.
And we also lost Richard Simmons. I had the opportunity to meet Richard when he was on the game show Pictionary. He was also, in addition to playing Pictionary, he was also a fitness guru, which he was more known for than his drawings. Sweating to the Oldies, Whose Line Is It Anyway, is one of the, I don't know, on YouTube, it's one of the highest viewed videos, I think, whenever he is on. He was also an excellent TTMer. Richard Simmons was 76 years old.
And lastly, this week, we lost Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Of course, everybody knows her as being the tiny little sex therapist who had her own talk show for a long time and offering advice on any kind of thing related to sexual health. She was also an author of several ethnographic books. And possibly the craziest thing of all, I did not know this until I was looking up stuff about her. She's like this little tiny little 4'7" woman, and she was a sniper in the Haganah, which was which led to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, and trained as a sniper there before going on to all this other stuff that she did in her career. She was an excellent TTMer throughout the years. Dr. Ruth was 96 years old. So there you go. Unfortunately, a very long list here this week in the Vern Rapp Minute. Our thoughts are with you if you lost anyone this week. And with that, we're coming up on the end of things as we take a look at our TTM returns.
Was our mailbox full this week? Let's take a look at this week's TTM returns.
Well, Troy, it looks like this week was a pretty light week of the mailbox for both of us. I had end up all right for me because, getting all this stuff with the All-Star game, I didn't want to be underneath a deluge of mail anyways. So I only had one to talk about so far, and it was actually one that I mailed off to Slovakia. I got back Zygmunt Palffy, who is a former NHL player and has one of the great first names ever. Zygmunt, you don't see that very often, but Ziggy signed in about 2 months, I want to say. It was a pretty quick return from him, but he used to play with the Islanders, the Kings, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, maybe a couple other teams in there, but at least those three I know of off the top of my head. And yeah, about a 2-month return from here to Slovakia and back, so very happy to add those in. According to my informed delivery, I should have Brian Engblom coming in this week as well, but or today as well, I should say, but we'll make sure of that before we go saying so next week, but there you go. I at least got those in. I finally got my stamps, too, so I can start cranking out some letters and get more mailed out and hopefully have some better returns over the next few weeks. What do you got coming in here?
Well, my sole return this week, hopefully that'll change here soon. I got Travis Mays from the Atlanta Hawks, signed 2 of 2 on the Fleer Ultra cards that I've been sending out. Those came back in about 107 days. So very happy to add those. And let's see, I'm trying to figure out what it almost looks like he personalized, but I don't think he did. I don't know what they say on there, but there's like two different sayings on there. Not really sure. Might have to scan it and try to see a little closer.
Yeah.
But there you go. That was my only return this week.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, like I said, hopefully we'll have some more coming in. I know you've got all your baseball ones out there. I've got a stack of stuff to send out here, mostly in hockey, and then some of the rookie cards I picked up recently. And I saw Mike McFarland, the former Royals catcher, has been signed. So I definitely want to get one out to him here since I haven't gotten to him at all. And I always like getting catchers, especially with McFarland, because Bill James has said it was actually a discussion with a friend of his about Mike McFarland that led to him ranking players in the historical baseball abstract, where he tries to name the top 100 each position, because they're sitting there at a game in the late 80s or somewhere around there saying, is Mike McFarland one of the 100 greatest catchers of all time? They kind of were discussing this back and forth about it, and he said, that's it. I'm going to rank them all and see where I can come up with. And I think he did come in the 80s. So there you go.
Huh.
And with that, I think we're finally at an end of this one. We've got over an hour of content. We get Les's stuff and Aaron's stuff put in there. We might be close to 2 hours on here, which is a record. I try to keep the show under an hour, but it's National Week. There's a lot of stuff out there that people want to know about and need to know about for it. And hopefully we're able to help everyone out as they make their way to Cleveland here this week for that show. Big thanks to Les Wolff for joining us, and of course to Ruthie Baker for handling all of our production work. Next week is going to be Grapher DIY will be our special segment. Not sure what we're going to talk about just yet. We might have some reports from Arron Littleton on the road, and we'll have a different co-host as well. I know, Troy, you're out for the next 2 weeks. Not sure who we're going to have next week just yet, but 2 weeks from now, I've already talked to Sal Berry from Puck Junk, and he's going to be our stand-in for you there that week. So be a little bit of a surprise next week, though, to see who exactly is going to be in the co-pilot seat there. Troy, any thoughts or anything before we call this one a day?
No, just looking forward to when I get back, hearing some good stories. Maybe not from you, but you could relay some stories about the National that you heard. Hopefully, there won't be any multi-million-dollar theft or anything coming up like there has been in the
They're
past couple
fortunately
weeks.
they're fortunately beefing up security for that. Les mentioned that, and it's been mentioned in several other places too. So good that that's going on at least. So hopefully it's going to be good for everybody here going on this week.
Yeah, just everybody have fun and meet someone new is my advice there. So
Definitely. I mean, the more networking you can do in this, the more networking you can do in this hobby, the better it's going to be for you, for them, for everybody. So definitely meet all the people that you can here. And so that's an end to this one here this week. Once again, thanks for tuning in. We're wishing you many happy returns, and we'll see you next week.
Everyone, be good.